Alright, y'all. Let's talk about the live album that changed everything. September 10th, 1975, Kiss drops Alive. And suddenly, these makeup clad weirdos from New York go from struggling nobodies to full blown legends. The record didn't just capture a concert, it saved a band, a record label, and maybe even set the gold standard for every live album that came after. Now, let's rewind a little bit. By 1975, Kiss had 3 albums under their belt: the debut, Hotter Than Hell, and Dressed to Kill. And they had some great songs on these records, stuff like Strutter, Deuce, Black Diamond, She. But the problem, those albums just weren't selling. The studio sound was flat compared to what they could do live. And it wasn't just disappointing, it was dangerous for the band. Casablanca Records, their label, was broke. The band themselves, broke. They were one more flop away from disappearing into obscurity. But live, that was a whole different story. On stage, Kiss was already one of the wildest shows in the country. Gene Simmons spitting blood, breathing fire, Ace Frehley making his guitar smoke, Peter Criss rising up on the drum riser, Paul Stanley working the crowd like a preacher in glitter boots. The shows were chaos in the best possible way. The problem was, if you weren't there, you didn't get it. The studio album sounded kinda lame. They didn't capture the danger, the volume, or the spectacle of what Kiss really was. So Kiss and Casablanca came up with a plan. Instead of rolling the dice on another studio record, they decided to record their live show and try to bottle that lightning. It was a gamble, absolutely, but it turned out to be one of the smartest moves that they ever did. They recorded shows from Detroit, Cleveland, Davenport, Wildwood, New Jersey. Then they pieced it together as kind of the ultimate Kiss concert. And yes, there were studio overdubs. Peter Criss talked about it. Paul Stanley talked about it. Eddie Kramer talked about it. They fixed up guitar parts, tightened the vocals, punched up everything. But look, nobody was expecting to buy a bootleg, right? The goal was to make the listener feel like they were right there in the crowd with explosions going off all around them. And in that sense, Kiss Alive nailed it. Over the 4 sides, you get a masterclass in just raw, unapologetic rock and roll. Deuce kicks it off. Parasite comes in heavy. Cold Gin, She, Watching You, and that monstrous just 12-minute 100,000 Years with Peter Criss's insane drum solo. And for those people that didn't think Peter Criss could play, just listen to it. In 75, he was pretty goddamn good. And then, of course, the live version of Rock and Roll All Night. The studio cut didn't really do anything. But on Alive, that's where it became the anthem that we all know, the song that put Kiss on the radio and just in the hearts of fans everywhere. But here's one of the things I really love about the album, the packaging, right? It wasn't just an album, it was an event. You open it up, that gatefold, and you're hit with this explosion of just images: sweat, fire, leather, blood. It looks like a war zone crossed with a circus. And for kids in 1975 who maybe couldn't afford to see Kiss live, this was the next best thing. You weren't just buying the music, you were buying the experience. And then you've got the little handwritten thank you notes on the inside. You know, this little passionate message that basically said, we know you believe in us. We believe in you. Let's do it all together. That's not just liner notes. That's a rallying cry. That's Kiss saying, you're part of this now. It's no wonder that a couple months later, the Kiss Army just exploded and took over. And speaking of the Kiss Army, that was right around when this whole movement was born. There was a couple of fans in Indiana that started a grassroots fan club, and it kind of snowballed. By the time Alive hit, Casablanca and the band leaned into it hard. Suddenly, being a Kiss fan wasn't just about liking a band. It was like joining a tribe. And Alive, with its photos and notes and that larger-than-life sound, was the recruitment poster for the Kiss Army. To me, Alive is more than just a live record. It's the sound of a band saving their own ass, right? They were desperate, and they turned that desperation into one of the most exciting rock albums I think that was ever made. Without this record, you don't get to Destroyer. You don't get Beth. You don't get Kiss on lunchboxes and pinball machines and coffins and whatever. The brand doesn't happen. Kiss was their lifeline. And the impact doesn't stop there. Before Alive, live albums were usually, not always, but usually throwaway, just kind of contract fillers. But after Alive, they were career makers. Cheap Trick at Budokan, Frampton Comes Alive, Thin Lizzy's Live and Dangerous, Iron Maiden's Live After Death. They all followed the Kiss playbook. Capture the magic of the stage, polish it just enough, and make it the definitive statement on what you sound like. And looking back, it's wild to think about how much was riding on this record. If Alive had bombed, Kiss might have just been another footnote in 70s rock history. Instead, It sold over 4 million copies, rescued Casablanca Records, and launched Kiss into the stratosphere. September 10th, 1975, the day Kiss proved that they weren't just a gimmick, they were a real deal. So look, here's my challenge to you. If you've always written Kiss off because of the gimmicks, if you've never listened to it front to back, don't just cherry pick the hits. Sit down, throw it on, crank it up so loud that the neighbors wonder what the hell you're doing. Close your eyes, and then you're in 1975 in a sweaty arena surrounded by fireballs and fans, and four guys in makeup playing like their lives depended on it, because honestly, they did. So yeah, I want to know, what is your favorite track off of this album? You know, in the comments, let me know. And if you enjoy stuff like this little deep dive, let me know, because I can do it for more albums. But of course, Kiss Alive is, I'm just passionate. Y'all know I love Kiss. So I'm just passionate about Kiss, so I wanted to get this out on the 50th anniversary, because without Kiss Alive, to be honest, I don't know how different my life would have been. It's crazy, but that's just the way it is. And if you look at the sales figures for Kiss Alive, right, the album hasn't been certified since December of 1975, so 3 months after it was released. So it's only certified as gold, but come on, we know that it's sold way more than that by now. And some listings are saying 3 million, but who knows? All I know is that Kiss Alive is a kick-ass collection. That's right, I've got the vinyl, I've got the CD, I've got the Kiss Alive box set here. Yeah, and I want to say thank you for watching this, and also, obviously, to the patrons. Thank you guys for everything. If you want to join these super awesome rock stars, go for it. Go for it. Help a brother keep these nice swirly lights on in his dirty garage, because that's just what I do, you know. That's my thing. But I'll see y'all next time. Y'all take care and stay fresh, cheese bags.